guys are in, and then it goes up from there. There's a standard chair. This is like a theater arrangement setup. That's not an acceptable arrangement for stacking chairs. This is another fire, the Beverly Hills Supper Club fire. This was a picture that was taken beforehand. They kept wanting to get more and more people into their space because of the reservations they had. They started putting them on the dance floor and stuff you can see there. This one was a large fire. It was a tragic fire. They killed over 100 people. And you can see that there's just no aisleways. There's no place for people to go. I mean, you can see almost 3 sides of that room, and you can see very limited exiting. Bar stools. That's another arrangement people can configure in. Here's kind of a combination of having tables and chairs in the middle and booths. Won't get into calculating capacity a whole lot here, but you just want to make sure you have the correct number and that the exits are far enough apart. Basically, if you have 2 doors that you won't see this hopefully, but exit signs over them, those exits are not remote because if something happens in front of one of those exits, it can block one or both of them. So that's why we make sure that you have exits that are far enough apart. The correct width, we go through calculations, and we can help you go through calculations with making sure that there's enough width for the number of people. Convergence, that's one of those things where you've got people in the basement on the 2nd floor, they're going to come together on the ground floor. We have to make sure that there's enough room for both floors if everybody's headed out at once to get there at the same time. Hazards, if you're going to have somebody breathing fire, in your space, you've got to give them some extra room. Obviously, we're going to have to take away a little capacity so that we can accommodate that in the future. Ted talked about the correct number of exits. I'm going to go through that again. And again, this is all information that's right on the handbook. Talked about the hazards and giving extra room for them. Maintenance of exits and egress, we cannot emphasize this enough. This is something that we see most common. That's why we reiterate it 3 or 4 times, is because we want to get it ingrained that it's something we have to continuously keep an eye on. You can see we actually covered the wires up here with different things to make sure that they're not a trip hazard. Regularly checking all the doors. Other code requirements, there's little things we'll go through you with. The main entrance has to be able to handle 50% of the calculated occupant load. That's because people are creatures of habit. They tend to go out the same way they came in. There's the same slide again. Can't get in the way. It has a whole bunch of stuff with it. You can see they have stuff in front of 2 of their exit doors. It's a sprinkled building. And they're covering the fire alarms. They've got everything wrong you can get in one package. This one will set your pants on fire if you go out the wrong door. Alright, there's another tab for emergency planning. It's all of those factors that we talked about a little bit earlier. Just a reminder list on there for you. It's written. If you're going to have a turnover of volunteers, or even if you are using volunteers, make sure you have it's something you can make sure they read and pay attention to. Like we said, go through it. Figure out your seating plan. Again, if you're planning for the winter, plan for the worst case scenarios where you're going to put your lines. I mean, there was a line all the way around the old federal building last year. You could have that. Evacuation drills, it's highly recommended that you put your people through it at least once. Have them plan what happens if you've got to get everybody out. Outline your staff responsibilities. That way you can avoid having a situation where you have 2 people running opposite directions. Because each one thought the other one was going to be doing something. Training them. Just mentioned this fire prevention training. We talked about the fire extinguisher. Practicing on evacuating, making sure you have a written list. Figure out where the public is going to go. Just well maintained. Emergency contingency plan. If the fire alarm goes off, what's going to happen? What are you going to do with your people if you're right in the middle of, the enterprise hours and they have to go outside? Are you going to plan for a place for them to stay? Are you going to, do you know when to bring them back to the building? If a fire happens inside the event, and forbid something were to happen, have a contingency plan for either moving space and stop people from coming in, or if you can escort that person to a location where you can keep them until medical attention arrives. Change your program component situation. If you get an artist that wants to not obey the rules or whatever, make sure you have our number, call us, make sure you're strong with them, and stick to the plan you have. All right, the page, there's more red, yellow, and green setups to read through. The similarities between inside and outside stuff. If you're not sure about your fire extinguishers being tagged and up to date or how many you have, if you find that you don't have any in your space, let us know. If you're making significant changes to the operation or layout of the building, that's why we have Mark Lee here from the building department. Many of you, your buildings may not be set up to handle a large number of people. That's where we get the building department and us involved, because we can help you through things that can either be long-term or short-term to help get the number of people that you'd like to get in for our projects. Inspections and licenses, like I said, we're going to be going through. We've got a lot of repeat venues this year, but we're still going to be going through again. Things change. We know that we have to take a look at them again. Crowd management, the number that we have is 1 every 250 people. We would love for you to have more than that. That's the minimum. Event management equals a safe event. The better you can manage and plan for it, the better off you're going to be. Crowd control, Ted briefly touched on that. Make sure you have a method in place to be able to count people as they come in and make sure that you count them as they leave so you have an accurate count on how many people are in it. You don't have to admit that by ticket only. That was actually left here. If you have multiple access points like this place, we have people coming in and out of more than one door, you're going to want to use multiple people that can be in contact with each other and how many people are letting in and out. A couple of resources. The International Association of Assembly Managers has put together a good crowd management training program, and there's some online programs there too. Special event and pyrotechnic open flame has the whole procedure on the handbook of how to get either of those two going. We talked about the pyrotechnic open flame. Occupancy use change. I already mentioned that with Mark being here. You're going to change from a warehouse to a public assembly. Obviously, there's a big thing, so you just have to take a look at it. Make sure that you're going to be safe. Here's just kind of a quick plan. If you had a situation like this where you look at this floor plan and say, wow, that looks pretty good. Except for the small issue with the doors that are opening in the wrong direction because of the number of people they want to put in there. But sometimes real life is different than the way it looks on paper. This is what the actual event looked like. Was in a building, the guy didn't want to move his carriage collection. He ended up blocking exits. They had propane heaters inside. That's another thing that doesn't work. They had stuff blocking the aisles. Kind of go along with that, if you do have an artistic exhibit that requires something that you wouldn't normally put in a building, such as a car or it's part of a display, you have catering that's going on. That's all stuff that we need to take a peek at and make sure that we've got it all safe. Standby fire services, there are instances where, the event is just hazardous. We still want to have it. We know that we have to have somebody there watching over everything. So we'll bring in, a fire engine or a fire company that will be prepared. We've done that before on stuff at the Daniel where they had, the monster trucks and stuff like that where there was a need for it. Permits and fees, there's a permit fee schedule on there. We are working to try and make sure that everybody's fair, that we cover the time for each department that they have to invest in it. It is something that they kind of keep track of that way. Our record keeping operational permits. There's a couple right on there. If we have to change things over from a different type of assembly, we just make sure that you guys have a permit. That's what it's our record keeping and your record keeping that's been done. There is a survey in there.